Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at assessing reasonableness. And really this is a skill that we should be applying anytime we're performing any kind of a mathematical operation. But of course today we're going to be looking at it in the context of adding and subtracting fractions. So let's go ahead and begin by reading our word problem. The problem says, Aaron is baking chocolate and strawberry cakes for an upcoming party. The chocolate cake recipe calls for 3½ cups of flour. The strawberry cake recipe calls for 2 3/4 cups of flour. One bag of flour contains up to 6 cups of flour. So just as I would usually do with my cubes, I'm going to go ahead and circle the important numbers as well as what they represent. So I know I have the strawberry cake, and it takes 2 3/4 cups of flour. And before that, I had the chocolate cake, which takes 3½ cups of flour. It also tells me that one bag contains up to 6 cups of flour. So now I'm going to look at the question. The question says, will Aaron need more or less than one bag of flour to bake both cakes, and how do we know? So this is where I'm going to assess for my reasonableness. Well, I know here that she has 6 cups of flour total. And I need to decide if she needs 3½ for the chocolate cake and 2 3/4 for the flour. Is she going to have enough? So I need to think, well, what do I know about my fractions? First of all, I'm going to look at my whole numbers. I have 3 and 2, which is 5. But I only have 6 total. So if I have 6 total, let's go ahead and start with my given. I know that I have 6. And I'm just going to 6 cups. Okay, my whole numbers add together to equal 5. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at those fraction parts that I have left. I have 1/2 and 3/4. And I need to decide if I only have 1 cup remaining. So 1 cup is remaining. If I only have that 1 cup remaining, do I have enough to do the 1/2 cup still needed for the chocolate and 3/4 cups still needed for the strawberry? And so that's where it's really important that we're now fluent with our equivalent fractions. So I should know that in terms of fourths, that 1/2 is also equal to 2/4. And I know that if I'm adding 2/4 and 3/4 together, then that is going to be more than a whole. Also, what I should know is that 1/2 accounts for half the bag. And since I know that 3/4 is more than half, I'm also not going to have enough because this is going to take half and this is going to take more than 1/2. So I know that she's not going to have enough because 1/2 and 3/4 is more than a full bag. So again, I haven't done any actual math yet. I've just assessed, is it going to work? And in this case, no, it's not, because we have 5 cups needed total, and then I'm adding those fraction parts, and I know those 2 fraction parts is going to be more than 1 cup. So she does not have enough. So now I'm going to go into the next part where it's actually asking me to compute exactly how many cups of flour will Aaron need to bake both cakes. So again, I'm going to go up to the word problem. I have 3 1/2 cups plus 2 3/4 cups. And now I need to figure out exactly how many will she need. So again, I need to find that common denominator, and I should easily recognize that 1/2 can go into fourths. But if I could not, I could list my multiples for 2 and my multiples for 4. So my multiples for 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and let's go 4. I have 4, 8, 12. So I'm going to start with my larger number when trying to find a common multiple because it has less available multiples. So I have a 4 here. Do I have a 4 here? Oh yes, I do. So I've already identified that my least common multiple is going to be 4, and I'm going to use that to create my least common denominator. So now I'm going to take 1/2, and I'm going to rewrite it in terms of fourths. So 2 times what gave me 4? 2 times 2 gave me 4, and I know that anytime I'm creating those equivalent fractions, what I do to the denominator, I must also do to the numerator. So now I want to do the same thing. 1 times 2. Well, my new numerator is going to now be 2. 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. And since this one is already in terms of fourths, I'm just going to drop it down. Now I can go ahead and add up my two fraction parts. 2/4 and 3/4 equals 5/4. And now adding my whole numbers, 3 and 2 is 5. And so, well, what do we notice? Oh no, I noticed that my numerator is greater than my denominator, and I already have a whole number, so I cannot have an improper with a whole number. So I'm going to regroup. Well, how many does it take to make one whole to regroup? We should realize that if we take away 4/4, that's going to give us one more whole that we can add in. So now I have the 5 plus the one whole that I just created, which is 6, and I had 5/4 and I took away 4, so now I only have 1/4 left over. So the total amount needed is 6 1/4 cups. And now I can even go back and check, did my reasonableness make sense? Yeah, I knew that I didn't have enough because I only have 6 cups in one bag, and in fact that did not work because I do need 6 1/4.